Do you have a Memory Palace foreign language strategy? I really think that this is a very important question to ask yourself if you're learning a language, if you want to learn a language in the future, if you are even just wanting to improve the language that you speak now, also known as your mother tongue. Because let's face it, we're not even mostly fluent in our own mother tongues. I'm certainly not fluent in mine, and I hope to always get better and better and better and better. And the way that we get better is we constantly learn. So in this video, we're going to talk about the 5 things that you can do to develop a Memory Palace foreign language strategy and get amazing, amazing results out of your memory. That's coming right up. Hey there, this is Anthony Metivier from MagneticMemoryMethod.com. This is the channel devoted to giving you every possible advantage when it comes to improving your memory and developing with memory techniques. Most of the people who come watch this show, they are very, very frustrated with memory techniques because they've tried them before and they didn't work and they gave up, but they know the magic. They know the magic because it just makes sense. It's common sense that if you are able to take information that you don't know and associate it with information that you do know, then you're going to have a better chance at remembering it. And so then it's just like chess. There is strategy to make you better at the game. And one of the games that we play in the world of learning and memory is learning a language. And so it turns out that there are some wonderful, wonderful Memory Palace strategies that you can use, all of which are available to you at any time at magneticmemorymethod.com/YT. This gives you a memory kit for creating all the Memory Palaces that you will need, indexed on an alphabet system, so to speak. It's a method that's advising you to use an alphabetical system, and I highly encourage you to just take a look at it and see if it might be something for you. That's at magneticmemorymethod.com/YT. And that's the basis of this particular strategy because, first of all, we want to have multiple Memory Palaces. One is never enough. It's a very dangerous thing because there's a phenomenon called Memory Palace scarcity. There's also another phenomenon called Memory Palace claustrophobia, and these are not goofy terms that I came up out of nothing. These are terms that I encountered myself and saw in my students over, well, we're getting close to 6 years now of doing this full time, and it is an absolutely solvable issue, and it is real. If you experience it yourself, don't feel bad about it, don't get worried about it. There are solutions. It's called multiple Memory Palaces. Everybody has access to multiple Memory Palaces. You might in the beginning struggle coming up with 26, just come up with as many as you can. Don't overthink it too much. You can evolve new and more over time. Every cafe can be a Memory Palace. There are buildings all over the place. And you know, when you get more advanced, even when you're just getting to the end of the beginner phase and into the intermediate phase, you can start using novels as Memory Palaces. You can use movies as Memory Palaces. You can use Stranger Things has got some very strong foundational things for Memory Palaces, Breaking Bad and so forth. There's a lot of things. And so ultimately your strategy begins with a Memory Palace technique based on the idea that you're going to have multiple Memory Palaces. This is really, really important that you think about it in multiples. So you don't essentially have a Memory Palace foreign language strategy if you're just thinking, oh, I'll build one Memory Palace and be done. Now, this isn't to say that you can't create multiple Memory Palaces, or sorry, you can't reuse a single Memory Palace, but it's very, very unlikely that you're going to get very far with just one. And the reason is because you've got a lot of vocabulary to deal with, and then you want to be able to reuse those palaces once you've got the vocabulary encoded to then add phrases to that core vocabulary, because this is all about building from the ground up. So you're going to build the foundation and then build up. So Memory Palace, vocabulary, then phrase. Phrases like the roof, and that's where you shout from the roof the phrases that you've learned and you are in communication. So that's where we start. That's the first part of the strategy. The second part of the strategy is that we're going to focus on one language at a time, at least until we know how to use this technique. Because the question I get all the time is, can I do this with more than one language at a time? Can I? Well, can is not the right way to think about this. The better way to think about this is you do not need anyone's permission to try anything inside your mind. It's your mind. Use it. It's there for you to use. However, I'll give you some advice, which is that until that you have this humming for just one language, which is challenge enough, then you really want to avoid trying to do it with 2 at the same time. And the reason, well, there's a couple of reasons why. First of all, one of the things that memory palaces are good for is reducing cognitive overwhelm or cognitive load in the first place, so that you never get overwhelmed in the first place. That's one of the reasons why this tool is so effective and so attractive to so many language learners at different stages of the game. Polyglots, they often save it for what they call the stubborn quintile, which is a I don't know why they save it for that, but they do. And power to them, because it's a tool that anybody can use at any stage of the game, and so it doesn't have to be your only technique, and of course it never will be your only technique because languages have multiple components. But there's an old Russian proverb which says that the hunter who chases two rabbits rarely catches either of them, and that's what we want to keep in mind. We want to keep in mind that until we have the skills to load a shotgun and fire a shotgun after our traps have been set and we know that the traps work, there's no point in trying to do both at the same time. You can't set traps while you're loading your gun and firing it. So pick one, set the traps, get it sorted for one language, and then you'll have that language to work with. So, when I went to Greece, I used so much German to memorize the Greek that I wanted to use while I was in Greece. The Greek that I wanted to use while I was in Greece. I'm getting tongue-tied here, but it happens. And it'll happen to you too when you're speaking your language. And one of the things that you got to do, and this is another strategy here, is you just got to relax. I was going to save that strategy for later, but one of the best things to do is not edit yourself too much. Edit yourself in real time. Just relax, communicate, open your mouth and speak. And when you make mistakes, just say, moment, and go back and start again. Just calm. So many language learners, they never get their mouth open because they're worried about making mistakes. The mistakes are coming. Chill out. Enjoy the mistakes. They'll get less and less frequent, and yet they'll still come. So we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but one language at a time until you have it rolling, and then think about cognates first off, and then understand that if you're going to reuse memory palaces for cognates, you can come into issues that are like ghosting and the ugly sister effect and so on. We can talk about those things. The Magnetic Memory Method podcast goes into detail about them, and we'll certainly be discussing them again in the future. But one language at a time. The next strategy that I have for you, number 3, would be to focus on the most high margin vocabulary first, and then the phrases that you're going to use those vocabulary words in. Because a lot of people, they look at language and they're like, I need 10,000 vocabulary words and I need 5,000, and they come up with all these numbers. No. There's no numbers. The only number is the one that has to do with a goal that you set and then the milestones that you set along the way. So if you think about this, what is it that I need to discuss right now that's going to make a huge difference in my language learning life? What is that one thing, right? Now for you, it may be different than for me, and that's the beauty of you being you and me being me, is we can all have our own adventure. But the principle here is what's going to make the biggest difference. So for me, I decided recently I really need to learn all the stuff around email and texting in Chinese. And so then I thought, what's the biggest set of information around this that I can come up with? So I charted out the vocabulary. It's a very small number. It's not thousands of words, not thousands of phrases. It's 20. Right? And so then I just create the memory palaces to serve that outcome and get down to work. And another technique comes up that we're going to talk about in our strategy here in a minute. But the whole point being is you make it manageable, you make it achievable, and you don't hypnotize yourself into difficulties that don't exist, like so many language learners do by saying, I need 10,000 phrases by the end of next week or else it's all over. No. Really, you just need to focus on what's going to make a big difference now and then work towards that. Now, email, for example, hangs together to a larger topic of communication. So we can think about what other kinds of communication things are there. So there's like sense and sensibility, right? Am I making sense? Does this make sense to you? I don't understand. Or could you help me understand this? And like all sorts of other communication themes. There could also be television and radio. There could be internet as its own little topic. You figure out the high margin vocabulary words and the phrases that you're going to need to communicate about that topic, nail them down. Use the Memory Palace technique to serve that outcome. Now the next thing that we want to talk about is the vocab first, phrases second technique. Now you can switch that around. It all depends on your level of experience with this. Sometimes I'll just memorize entire phrases. Other times I will go for the vocabulary first, make sure I've nailed that vocabulary, and then add the phrase later. you just got to pick your battles, and you got to think about what your outcome is relative to this high margin outcome choice making that you're going to make, and that's an ongoing thing in language learning. So I highly recommend, especially when you're beginning with these techniques, vocab first, then take a second pass through the memory palace, add the phrases. Really magical how that works. After that, go to the big 5 of language learning and make sure that you're doing this for the benefit of your learning and your memory. So what's the big 5 of language learning? Reading, writing, speaking, listening, and doing all this in a way that serves your memory, and then using your memory in a way that serves your reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Isn't that beautiful? 5. The big 5 of language learning. If you put all that together and you have your memory palace strategy working for you, it's just gonna come together and things are gonna pop real fast. And there are so many wonderful ways that you can use spatial memory to be the foundation of this. Spatial memory being the tool that we use when we are going to use memory palaces, because memory palaces are based on space, and you chart out memory palaces based on this free resource that's happening in your brain right now, in combination with what I call the magnetic modes, which are your sense of vision, visuality, auditory, kinesthetic, gustatory, olfactory, and your ability to sense in concepts. Concepts are very powerful as well. And you're going to use all these 6 magnetic modes inside of memory palaces. And in some sense, space is the 7th mode, but it's the mode that binds them all. Kind of like the ring in the Lord of the Rings. So, wow. Isn't that amazing? I think it's amazing. I think it's the most amazing thing in the world. And every person has it in their brain. Doesn't matter whether you're young or old. Doesn't matter if you're short or tall. Doesn't matter what's going on. You've got these things. You've got these things. Barring some sort of brain damage from a disease or an accident or whatever. I don't know. I might have hit my head when I was a kid. To tell you the truth, I did. I was hit by a car twice, actually. And apparently I fell off the table when I was just an infant. So there's nothing that's stopping you. I can tell you that much. There's nothing stopping you. If you'd like to know more, make sure that you are subscribed to this channel, first of all. Hit that little bell so we can hop on a live together sometime. You won't be notified otherwise if you don't hit that bell. If you're already subscribed, hit that bell. And let me know if you like this kind of stuff with your thumbs up. Really appreciate the interaction. Leave a comment below. And of course, if you haven't taken my free course, head on over to magneticmemorymethod.com/YT. It's really more than a course. It's a whole memory improvement kit. It's got worksheets that you can fill out, and it's got videos that walk you through it. And the process is really shockingly, surprisingly simple, easy, effective, elegant, and fun. It's so much fun. I mean, the fun is just oozing off of my skin. I just eat this stuff, man. I would put mustard on it and eat it like a hot dog if I could, because it's so much fun. It's amazing. It uses your imagination, uses every part of your brain, it uses your own personality, it uses your past, it uses your future, it uses your present, it uses everything, and it makes you more present in the present moment because of what it's doing to your brain. It's using your neurochemistry to connect wildly to everything that you can possibly connect to get more out of life. Lust for life. You know that song? Boom, 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 boom. It's amazing. So if you like this kind of stuff, hit that thumbs up. Let me know you're engaged. Make sure you visited me over at magneticmemorymethod.com/YT. And thanks for being here. Until we have a chance to speak again, keep yourself magnetic.